In 1955, an American professor of Russian literature moved to Switzerland. He was accused of sexually abusing underage boys, and after his conviction, he fled to the United States where he lived under the name Vladimir. A couple of years later, he wrote a novel titled Lolita. It was a story about a middle-aged literature professor who becomes obsessed with a young girl and takes her on a cross-country trip while having sex with her. The novel was a critical success, but it was also controversial because of its subject matter. So controversial, in fact, that some countries even banned the book. But here's the thing, the author didn't just write this novel. As disturbing as it sounds, he actually did all those things. In this video we'll be answering the question, why is it so taboo? But before we do that, remember to give us a thumbs up and support us. Also, stay till the end for more interesting psychology videos. But let's get back to the topic at hand. When we talk about taboos, we're talking about things that are forbidden or prohibited within a culture. These are things that are considered off limits because they go against the moral standards or values of that culture. Now, there are many different types of taboos, but one of the most common ones is sexual taboo. Sexual taboos are rules and norms that govern sexual behavior within a society. They dictate what is considered appropriate or inappropriate sexual behavior, and they vary widely across cultures. Some examples of sexual taboos include having sex before marriage, having sex outside of marriage, having sex with close relatives, and engaging in certain sexual practices. These taboos are often enforced through social sanctions like gossip or ostracism, or in more extreme cases, physical punishment or even death. The reason why sexual taboos exist is complex, and there isn't just one answer. There are a number of theories out there trying to explain their existence. One theory is that sexual taboos are there to protect the family unit. By prohibiting certain sexual behaviors like incest, societies can avoid the potential for conflict or harm within families. Another theory is that sexual taboos help maintain social order. By regulating sexual behavior, societies can prevent the spread of sexually transmitted infections and ensure that children are born within the bounds of the community. Finally, there's the theory that sexual taboos are there to protect individuals. For example, by prohibiting sexual exploitation, societies can ensure that people are not taken advantage of or harmed in sexual situations. So now that you know why there are sexual taboos, let's see how they apply to the work of Vladimir Nabokov. His novel Lolita tells the story of Humbert, a middle-aged literature professor who becomes obsessed with a young girl named Dolores Haze, who he nicknames Lolita. Humbert becomes so fixated on Lolita that he ends up marrying her mother in order to be near her, and eventually takes her on a cross-country trip while having sex with her. Now, I want you to think about what we just said about sexual taboos and consider how Lolita breaks those rules. First off, Humbert is significantly older than Lolita. This alone makes their relationship inappropriate, because it involves a power imbalance between an adult and a child. Children cannot give informed consent to sexual activity with adults, and any sexual contact between an adult and a child is considered abuse. Secondly, the novel depicts sexual acts between Humbert and Lolita. Given her age, these acts can be classified as statutory rape, which is illegal and considered a serious crime. Thirdly, Humbert's obsession with Lolita and his willingness to exploit her for his own gratification is morally reprehensible. His actions are those of a predator, and he shows no regard for the emotional or psychological well-being of his victim. It is important to note that the novel was written in 1955 and published in 1958. During that time period, attitudes towards sexuality and gender roles were very different than they are now. Some people argue that Nabokov's novel was ahead of its time and that it challenged the sexual norms and double standards of the 19th. However, others argue that the novel's graphic depiction of child sexual abuse was simply too much for society to handle at that time, and that it is precisely because of these attitudes that the novel was so controversial. The fact that Vladimir Nabokov himself was accused of sexually abusing underage boys only adds to the controversy surrounding Lolita. While it is important to note that these are just accusations and he was never convicted of any crimes, they do raise questions about the author's own beliefs and attitudes towards child sexuality. Nabokov's defense of his novel and his character Humbert was that he was simply exploring the complexities of human nature, and that readers should be able to appreciate the artistry of his writing without being judgmental. He also argued that the novel was a satire of the way adults often idealize and sexualize children. Despite the controversy, Lolita has become one of the most famous and frequently studied novels of the 20th century. Its themes of obsession, desire, and the corruption of innocence continue to resonate with readers today. The novel has been adapted for film, television, and theater, and has inspired countless works of art, music, and literature. So why is Lolita so taboo? Well, it pushes the boundaries of what is considered acceptable to talk about and think about. It forces us to confront uncomfortable truths about human nature and the dark side of sexuality. Many people find this unsettling because it challenges our beliefs and values and makes us question our own morality. However, by confronting these taboo subjects, we can gain a deeper understanding of ourselves and the world around us. We can learn to empathize with those who have experienced trauma or abuse and work towards creating a more just and compassionate society. Some psychologists believe that taboos exist to protect individuals from harm and exploitation, including sexual exploitation. By prohibiting certain types of sexual behavior, societies can help ensure that people are not taken advantage of or abused. For example, the taboo against having sex with close relatives helps to prevent incest, which can lead to genetic problems in offspring, and also can create harmful power imbalances within families. Similarly, the taboo against sexual exploitation of children helps to protect children from sexual abuse and exploitation by adults. Others believe that these taboos exist to protect the social order. They argue that sexual taboos help to maintain social order by regulating sexual behavior and preventing the spread of sexually transmitted infections. For example, the taboo against having sex before marriage helps to ensure that children are born within the bonds of marriage and that the father is biologically related to the child. This helps to maintain the traditional family structure and prevent the stigmatization of children born out of wedlock. Additionally, the taboo against certain sexual practices such as homosexuality or bisexuality helps to maintain the heterosexual structure of society and prevent the breakdown of the traditional family unit. Finally, some believe that sexual taboos exist to protect individuals from personal or emotional harm. For example, the taboo against having sex with strangers helps to prevent the spread of sexually transmitted infections and also can help individuals to avoid the emotional trauma that can result from having a negative sexual experience. Additionally, the taboo against having sex with people of the same gender helps individuals to avoid the social stigma and discrimination that can result from engaging in homosexual behavior. There's also the idea that sexual taboos exist to protect the sanctity of sex. This view is often held by individuals who believe that sex should only be engaged in for the purpose of procreation, within the context of a committed relationship. They argue that by prohibiting certain types of sexual behavior, such as premarital sex or casual sex, society can help preserve the sacredness of sex and prevent its devaluation. While these are just a few of the reasons why sexual taboos exist, it's important to note that not all societies have the same taboos, and what is considered taboo can change over time. Ultimately, the existence of sexual taboos reflects the complex and often contradictory ways in which humans grapple with issues of sexuality, morality, and social order. If you found this video interesting, don't forget to subscribe for more content. Thanks for watching.